Hello, my name is Spencer Elliott, and I'm going to be doing a speech on the reasons for and against keeping the penny. Copper, small and round. No, not a bullet, but a humble penny. If you were to pass a penny on the street, I'm sure you wouldn't think to pick it up. You probably give them no thought unless you think they're lucky. In reality, there are many people who actually care about pennies, and in this speech, I'll be filling you in on the topics of the reasons some people want to keep what they see as a piece of American pride, and why others see this as yet another holdout to modernization. First of all, let's start with the pro-penny side. You see, to some of the supporters, the penny is an undeniable source of cultural influence for the United States. We have the wheat pennies, the Lincoln Memorial pennies, and even the Shield penny. And going a little bit further, there are the verse pennies, which are collector's items, and following the penny itself, from the half penny all the way to the penny that we have today, you can actually see the change of the country as it goes along. With such American symbols and the strong historic ties that come with them, it's hard for these people to just put their beliefs aside as well as their national pride. For others who support the penny, their support comes from the age-old argument of capitalism. According to Americans for Common Sense, which are a group that argue against getting rid of the penny, by getting rid of the coin, we'll have to deal with price rounding, which is when you take the price that is where it's at right now, and then you switch it in order to match up to the nearest 5 cents. That the price rounding will often go against the consumer. By this, I mean that something that would be $19.99 would round up to $20, and they say that this will disproportionately affect poorer citizens who do not have means to plastic money like debit cards. This pattern, they argue, would affect the overall economy by causing inflation and devaluing the US dollar. On the side of the anti-penny group, they argue a lot of things could be very different if we get rid of the penny. For instance, they assert that eliminating the 1-cent coin will actually benefit the consumer, pointing to countries like Canada, who got rid of their penny, and the Australians, who went even further and struck the nickel from their currency as well, so now they only have the 10-cent coin on up. Also, economist Robert Waples argues that price rounding would actually help consumers when paying with cash, arguing that many of the other studies fail to look at the bigger picture of economic transactions, as many companies will round down in order to gain more revenue. This seems counterintuitive, but really companies are already willing to go down in price, albeit slightly, if it means that consumers will look at them more favorably and shop there more. Think of all of the sales that happen. In fact, even taking a few pennies off, as it's argued, won't affect their bottom line at all, and in fact will cause more people to shop there. And as I said before, there are countries that I've named that have gotten rid of the penny and not suffered any consequences. In fact, their economies are doing just fine, as are those of the UK, France, and New Zealand, even if one of them just made a pretty risky decision with Brexit. Also, New Zealand, as well as Australia, just like Australia, got rid of their 5-cent coin as well, so now they're working from the 10-cent coin all the way up. Last, but definitely not least, the premier argument used by the anti-penny side is the fiscal conservatives' favorite sentiment. It saves money. Looking at Canada, when they announced their fiscal plan for 2012, it was argued that they would save almost $11 million a year, due to each penny costing almost 1.6 cents to make per penny. That was from CNN in 2012. Compare that to the US's annual cost of 1.7 cents per penny, and that ends up costing us greatly. How greatly, you may ask? Thank you for asking. Well, looking at the big picture, with nearly 8 billion pennies minted in 2014, the US spent almost $132 million to produce less than $50 million of circulating currency. That's literally almost 3 times more. When production cost is added to the opportunity cost of using the penny, economists say that the penny drains almost $900 million from the national economy every year, and that's from the citizens to retire the penny, which, as it sounds, they are against the penny staying a part of the U.S. currency. To some, the penny is a living artifact of American history and a sign of the unique culture of this country, as well as a way to fight off inflation and economic ruin. For others, it's just that, an artifact, one that costs taxpayers money unnecessarily, and a sign of the stubbornness of a country that refuses to live in the 21st century along with issues like the metric system, how we handle gas and natural oil, and how we handle our foreign domestic policy, among their many complaints. To you, which is all this really matters, does it all make sense? And I'm so proud of that pun, and thank you for listening to my speech.